Thanks for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. We begin with another golden day for South Korea in taekwondo. South Korea's Kim Yu-jin captured a gold medal in women's taekwondo for the country's second title in 2 days in the sport. Ranked 24th in the world, Kim Yu-jin not only placed herself on top of the podium, but also secured her country's first 57-kilogram gold in 16 years. One North Korean defected to South Korea on Thursday by crossing the neutral zone of the Hangang River estuary located west of the inter-Korean land border. Authorities are now looking into details of the defection, including the motive and the exact defection route. South Korea continues to grapple with extreme summer heat, with a feels-like temperature of at least 35 degrees Celsius in most parts of the country. The blistering heat has resulted in 19 heat-related deaths and killed thousands of livestock. The Paris Summer Olympic Games are nearing the end, with just 2 days left until the closing ceremony on Sunday. Now, Team Korea continues to push through, with Kim Yu-jin adding one more gold in taekwondo on Thursday. Kim Si-young has more.
In taekwondo, South Korea's Kim Yu-jin captured gold in the women's 57-kilogram event on Thursday, claiming the first crown for Team Korea in the category in 16 years. Kim beat Nahid Kiani of Iran by 2-0 in the finals at the Grand Palais, with game scores of 5-1 and 9-0. 23-year-old Kim, who is only ranked 24th in the world, knocked off 4 of the world's top 5 athletes in a weight division before reaching the final, including world number 1 Luo Zongxi of China in the semi-finals and number 2 Kiani in the gold medal match. That gold has pushed South Korea to tie its previous Summer Games record with 13 gold medals. The country is currently in 6th place of the Paris medal table. In sport climbing, South Korea's Seot Chae-hyun advanced to the women's combined event final on Thursday as a 20-year-old vies for Team Korea's first ever medal in the category. Seo qualified for the event final after finishing 8th overall among 20 climbers on Thursday at the Le Bourget sport climbing venue in the north of Paris. She tied for 4th in the lead semi-final with 72.1 points after struggling in bouldering with 44.2 points earlier this week, snatching a ticket to Saturday's final with 116.3 points in total. 3 climbers topped her in the lead category as Janja Ganbret of Slovenia and Ai Mori of Japan scored 96.1 points, and Jessica Pills of Austria followed with 88.1 points. The South Korean is currently ranked world number 3 in lead and 18 in bouldering. 8 finalists will compete for the podium on Saturday in both bouldering and lead events on the same day. Team South Korea lost to China in the semi-finals of the women's table tennis team event on Thursday, which still leaves the chance of winning a bronze medal on the table. South Korea's Shin Yu-bin, Lee Eun-hye and Chun Ji-hee went down 3-0 against Han Ying-xia, Chen Meng and Wang Man-yu of China after 1 doubles and 2 singles matches at South Paris Arena 4 on Thursday. While some anticipated a surprise outcome, China's Sun, Chen, Wang, who are ranked 1, 2 and 3 in women's singles and world rankings, took down Team Korea without much of a fight. Shin, who won the mixed doubles bronze medal earlier in the games, said, "We want to finish our last match with a medal," adding that it wasn't nerves that got her, but that she and Jun were simply outplayed by the Chinese team. Team Korea will now compete for a bronze medal in the deciding contest on Saturday against Germany, who lost to Japan 3-1 in Thursday's other semi-final match. Athletics are in full swing as we come towards the end of the Summer Olympic Games. In the women's 400-meter hurdles, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone of the US won the gold medal in a new world record time of 50.37 seconds on Thursday. That marked the 5th time the American athlete had beaten her own world record, all while becoming the first female to win back-to-back gold at the Olympics in the event since the sport's debut in 1984 at the Los Angeles Games. In men's 200-meter race, Letsile Teboho of Botswana stormed to the top of the podium with an African record of 19.46 seconds at the Stade de France on Thursday, denying 100-meter gold medalist Noah Lyles a sprint double. Tebogo's medal is Botswana's first ever Olympic gold, which he dedicated to his late mother as he put his spikes to the camera to show her date of birth and had the initials of her name painted on his fingernails. Tebogo said, "I believe she could be one of the happiest people on the planet." Immediately after the race, Lyles, who won bronze in the event, tested positive for COVID and was helped off the track in a wheelchair. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
One North Korea made a defection to South Korea on Thursday by crossing the maritime border between the two Koreas. The person reportedly crossed the neutral zone of the Hangang River estuary, located west of the inter-Korean border, and arrived at South Korea's Gyeodong Island in Incheon, expressing their intention to defect. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff announced that it has secured the custody of an unidentified individual presumed to be from North Korea, and handed the person over to relevant authorities without providing further details. A military official reportedly said the water level in Hangang River estuary was low at the time, so the defector crossed on foot. Now, this is the first time in about a year and 3 months since a North Korean defected to the south by crossing the western sea border. A former United Nations official from Canada who is an expert on North Korea has been detained in Switzerland on charges of espionage. The Canadian was arrested by Swiss authorities a few months ago on suspicions of spying, most likely for China. That's according to a joint investigation by German news outlet Der Spiegel, Swiss media company Tamedia, and NK News, which reported the news on Thursday local time. Reportedly in his 50s, the suspect had been meeting frequently with North Korean officials in Geneva, including diplomats. He also traveled frequently to China as an environmental consultant and is suspected of giving information on North Korea to Chinese agents. Israel's Security Cabinet held a meeting underground as part of its emergency training, they say. The Israeli military continued its airstrikes throughout Gaza, now this time killing at least 40 Palestinians. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Amid fears of a massive Iranian retaliatory attack against Israel for the killing of a Hamas leader and a top Hezbollah commander, the Israeli Security Cabinet held a meeting at an underground bunker known as the Pit on Thursday night. Despite rumors that the meeting took place at the underground command room over fears of an Iranian strike, Israel says the event was a drill for a potential emergency situation. Located under the Security Ministry's headquarters, the last time such a meeting took place at the Pit was in April, when Iran responded to an Israeli attack on its embassy in Syria by firing hundreds of drones and missiles toward Israeli targets. Meanwhile, amid an escalation in tensions in the Middle East, Israel is continuing to conduct airstrikes throughout Gaza, killing at least 40 Palestinians. This includes airstrikes at a cluster of houses at Al-Barej camp, where at least 15 were killed, and a nearby camp where 4 others were killed. The two camps are considered some of the more densely populated areas in the region, but are also seen by Israel as strongholds for Hamas. The Israeli military also struck 2 schools east of Gaza, killing 15 Palestinians. Israel says it conducted airstrikes at Hamas military targets. Since last October, close to 40,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 90,000 others injured. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump will hold their first face-off at a presidential debate hosted by ABC early next month. Our Choi Min-jung has the details.
U.S. presidential nominees Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have agreed to debate on ABC News on September 10th. The network announced in a statement on Thursday that the vice president and the former president both confirmed their attendance. Speaking at a news conference, Trump said he's looking forward to the face-off and that he wants to add 2 more debates.
With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC.
Fox News proposed a debate between Harris and Trump early next month, and NBC News is also planning to air one later in September. Harris posted on social media that she was looking forward to the September 10th debate after Trump finally committed, and she told reporters that she was open to discussing more debates. Amid a tight race between the 2 candidates, Trump suggested he should be able to influence decisions made by the Federal Reserve if he becomes president again. With growing concern over a U.S. recession, Trump said that people on Wall Street believe if he doesn't win, the U.S. is going to have a depression. He also highlighted his first term when he claimed the country had, quote, perfect inflation. Meanwhile, the war in the Middle East is another factor dividing the Republicans and the Democrats. During a campaign rally in Detroit on Wednesday night, Harris fired back at pro-Palestinian protesters of Israel's war in Gaza as they interrupted her speech, shouting that they won't vote for genocide.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
With an Ipsos poll released Thursday showing Harris and Trump neck and neck in swing states, it remains to be seen whether the first debate between Harris and Trump will lead to a massive change in the race. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
At least 12 people have been injured in a magnitude 7.1 earthquake that struck off the coast of Japan's southeastern Kyushu island in Miyazaki Prefecture. According to Japan's Kyodo News and NHK, the quake occurred at around 4:43 p.m. Thursday, leading to 2 houses collapsing. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi told reporters that there have been no reports of abnormalities at nuclear power plants nor any damage to power and water supplies. Tsunami advisories in nearby regions have been in place but have subsequently been lifted. However, the Japan Meteorological Agency says there is a relatively higher chance of another major earthquake occurring near western Japan's Pacific coast. South Korea continues to see intense heat nationwide, leaving around 20 people dead and thousands of people seeking treatment for heat-related illnesses. And farmers were also left feeling the effects of the heat wave, with hundreds of thousands of livestock and fish killed since July. Our Yu-jin reports.
South Korea is continuing to suffer severe heat, with heat wave warnings and advisories issued in most regions again on Friday. According to the Interior Ministry, over 2,000 people were treated for heat-related illnesses from late May until Wednesday. 19 fatalities were recorded during the same period, with more expected to be added to the tally, including 2 senior citizens who died while doing farm work on Wednesday. Agriculture in South Korea is also feeling the effects, with more than 500,000 livestock deaths recorded from June to early August, with poultry the worst hit. On Thursday, the ministry reported that some 80,000 animals died in a single day during that period. Fish farms, too, have reported huge losses, with nearly 500,000 fish, including starry flounders and flatfish, dead. And things could get worse still with the heat wave set to continue. Feels like temperatures on Friday are forecast to reach around 35 degrees Celsius or higher. The country has seen little relief even at night, with 19 consecutive tropical nights recorded in Seoul, 17 in Incheon, and Pohang saw 16, while Jeju recorded 25. A tropical night occurs when temperatures fall no lower than 25 degrees overnight. Some regions, including Gangwon-do province and the southern part of the country, will see temperatures drop due to sudden showers during the day, but figures are forecast to go right back up afterward. High temperatures are set to continue this weekend and next week. Yu-jin, Arirang News.
An electric Mercedes sedan caught fire last week, damaging more than 140 cars and leaving dozens of people hospitalized. The incident sparked fears over safety of electric vehicle batteries. Our Yu-jin tells us about some effective methods to combat EV fires.
With growing concerns in South Korea about the safety of electric vehicle batteries, there is a lot of attention on how to deal with EV battery fires. Firefighters here are demonstrating what they do when an electric vehicle catches on fire. They begin by spraying the entire vehicle with a hose, then place a device beneath it that sprays water like a fountain, ensuring the water reaches the batteries located under the car. The firefighters then cover the vehicle with a fire blanket in order to prevent the fire from spreading. After that, fire suppressor tubes are placed around the vehicle and filled with water until the battery is completely submerged. But this means that lots of equipment is needed to extinguish the fire. As such, efforts are underway to supply fire blankets to every apartment complex in Incheon to help with the initial response to a battery fire.
We plan to distribute one vehicle fire suppression blanket to each of Incheon's approximately 1,600 apartment complexes.
Incheon is where an electric Mercedes-Benz sedan parked in an underground parking lot of an apartment complex suddenly caught fire last Thursday. According to the firefighters, the car was not being charged. The fire damaged more than 140 cars and left 23 people hospitalized, raising concerns about the safety of electric vehicle batteries. While there's also growing interest in fire extinguishers specifically designed to put out lithium-ion battery fires, it may be difficult for individuals to completely put out the fire with just an extinguisher, even in the early stages. This is why one expert said that the most effective measure would be to improve parking lot safety.
Fire compartments should be set up in underground parking lots, and in the long term, charging stations should be installed on the ground level to encourage electric vehicle owners to park above ground.
Meanwhile, the South Korean government is set to come up with a comprehensive plan to deal with the rising number of fires sparked by electric vehicles. The Ministry of Environment said on Thursday that it will host an emergency meeting on the 12th of August for relevant government agencies, including the Ministries of Industry and Transport and the National Fire Agency. Yu-jin, Arirang News.
South Korea's economy is projected to expand 2.5% in 2024. This is what a South Korea's economy think tank believes, and it's lower than what it projected back in May. Poor domestic demand due to a prolonged trend of high interest rates was the main trigger to lower the outlook. Kim Bo-kyung reports.
Weak domestic demand constraining on export-led recovery. That is how a major state-run think tank, the Korea Development Institute, evaluated South Korea's economy, while revising down the country's economic growth outlook. The KDI cut this year's economic growth forecast to 2.5% on Thursday, marking a 0.1 percentage point fall from its earlier projection presented in May. The outlook is on par with those by the International Monetary Fund and Bank of Korea, and is lower than those made by South Korean government and the OECD, which forecast a 2.6% growth. Primarily fueled by semiconductors, exports are forecast to grow at a faster clip, with the institute jacking up the export growth forecast this year from 5.6% to 7%. It shared a rather grim outlook, however, for consumer spending and equipment investment, revising the consumption down to 1.5% from its earlier forecast of 1.8%. and cutting its projection for facility investment to 0.4% from the previous 2.2%.
The growth of domestic demand centered on private consumption and facility investment is expected to fall short of earlier projections. Considering the prolonged trend of high interest rates compared to consumer prices and economic conditions, the recovery of domestic demand is likely to be delayed.
Due to weak domestic demand and falling global oil prices due to potential slowdown in the U.S. and China, consumer prices are forecast to climb 2.4% this year, which is 0.2 percentage points lower than in the forecast in May. The think tank also cited external factors, such as geopolitical risks in the Middle East or a sharp economic downturn in China or the U.S., as potential risks that could slow South Korea's economic growth. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
South Korea's population in about 50 years is projected to shrink to around 36 million. That's a 30% decline from the current 51 million. That's also pushing many non-capital regions to pour efforts to keep their cities and towns alive. And Goseong-gun County is dealing with the issue through sports marketing. Our Park Gun-woo has this report.
Goseong-gun is a county in Gyeongsangnam-do province located in the southern part of the Korean peninsula with less than 50,000 residents. Due to its continuously shrinking population, the region has been coming up with new ways to address the crisis. One of the representative ways is rebranding the county as an optimal spot for sports events and off-season training, with its great facilities and infrastructure, bringing in many athletes from different regions.
Training facilities here are good, especially because this year's National Sports Festival will be held in Goseong, and it's a great opportunity to watch and learn each player's strengths while training.
In the first half of 2024, Goseong-gun County held 41 sports events, including international and national sports competitions, including for triathlon, handball, and soccer. Attracting over 80,000 people during that period, the county created an economic effect worth around $4 million, twice as much as in the previous year. Goseong-gun County calculated the economic effect by multiplying the visitors, athletes, coaches, and families with the predicted average cost of around $54 per day for accommodation and food.
Accommodation costs accounts for the biggest pie among the total spending. Then it will be food costs, as it's important to eat well during off-season training. Food costs are huge as we try to consume meat each meal.
With more people coming into the region, an official of Goseong-gun County spoke about plans to accept the increasing number of visitors.
We will continue to expand the infrastructure for sports facilities. For example, we already built the first baseball stadium in the previous year and the second one in May to welcome more baseball players.
He also spoke about plans for increasing lodging facilities, including youth hostels, so that the county can hold more sports events. Along with these efforts, Goseong-gun County aims to create an economic effect of over $6 million in the latter half of the year. In order to do so, this coastal county aims to bring more people into the region by hosting scores of sports events and off-season training for teams and athletes, as it did in the first half of the year. 박건우, Arirang News, Goseong.
Good afternoon. Intense summer heat continues to bake much of Korea today. Seoul has had 19 consecutive tropical nights as of today, 25 nights for Jeju. And we are expecting at least 10 more tropical nights this season. Meanwhile, there are more sudden downpours in certain parts of Korea in Jeju today. 5 to 40 millimeters of passing showers are expected for the south, heavier passing rain for Jeju, along with thunderstorms. Then afternoon temperatures in most parts could be topping out at 34 degrees Celsius. Daegu will be hotter at 35 degrees. Skies will remain sunny for central areas with very strong UV rays expected. Then passing rain is in the forecast in the west this weekend, with sweltering heat expected next week. Now, many of us in Korea are waiting for Choseol, the second autumn season term. That's when we can expect a big cool down from the searing heat, which falls on the 22nd of this month. So please take care until then. With that in mind, here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have at this hour. Arirang News will be back at 2 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.